the lake. Oh my God, Oregon, maybe? I don't know. And we have to look it up because clearly I've only ever done
Well,
the
that
lake.
all came to be after we all left. So it's
That's
understandable that we may not know all of those details.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna Reed and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy. It's a real estate podcast that just ain't typical. I'm Donna, he's Eric, and we are the Real Siblings. We're both professional realtors with Keller Williams, and for your reference, he's Gen X, I'm a boomer. I put on my yellow earrings, he didn't, even though Eric, you got the shirt. Could have maybe done it. The podcast blends lifestyle together with real estate as we work to communicate, educate, connect, and entertain our listeners. While the topics vary and our conversations always go in many directions, we work to provide our listeners with insights into our industry, better equipping them, you, for your next real estate transaction. Eric, what's up?
Hey, wow. All right. You didn't see me. You were looking down, but I applauded when you made it through the CECE, Communicate, Educate, Connect, and Entertain, which we've had some trouble stumbling over in the past.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we're going to get into the topic. We got a lot to talk about today, but I wanted to put in a little bit of a disclaimer. We are focusing almost, I would say at this point, probably going to be close to 100% lifestyle related, as this episode we're recording is a follow-up to our episode 26 from June, which was a presentation of our hometown that we spend a lot of time talking about, Lindsey, Ohio, having their Sunflower and Homecoming event. I will say first annual because we just got confirmation. There will be number 2. Just to make it easier to reference that, I don't know what platform you may be looking on, but I wanted to point this out to you. Went back through all of our episodes, and now every single episode has a number regardless of what player you're on or where you're listening or how you're listening, consuming this podcast. So it'll say episode 26, and that'll be followed by right now S1 or S2, meaning season 1, season 2. And that just is going to help you when we reference to go, they talked about what? And we'll be able to refer back to that. So that's disclaimer. And then before I hand it over to Donna, I want to talk about what I'm calling or what we have learned to call and teach about, which is the Reticular Activator. And if you've never heard that term before, scientifically, I sum it up as saying we see what is on our mind. And when I teach new agents and I present this concept to them, I use the dream car as an example. So if you're in the market and getting ready to buy a new car, and you've now been scouring the market and you've made a decision that you're going to get a specific make, a specific model, and a specific color, suddenly that's on your mind. And the next time you're out on the road, you're going to see every single time you come to a stop, it's like, oh, there's one right over there. Oh, there's one right there. That has actually happened to both Donna and I in the course of producing this podcast. We're real estate agents. We drive around a lot. We look at a lot of things. But it is surprising how preparing for, presenting, and getting into a mindset where the podcast is on our mind, how it affects us. And the reason that's presented is because I thought Donna, in talking about the trip to Ohio, which is where we're going to end up today, started in Arizona and New Mexico and into Colorado and what she saw.
I actually drove to Colorado, Eric, a different way than I ever have because I was in Phoenix. I was starting in Phoenix instead of Tucson. So I could have gone, I chatted with Caleb a little bit, who has driven it a lot. He typically goes to Flagstaff and over. Well, my GPS kept sending me more on a diagonal through smaller towns. And I had a lot of input from people about Yep, it's slower, but it's more scenic and all that. And bottom line is, I went through a whole lot of our Native American nations. I went through the Navajo Nation. I saw signs for the Hopi Nation and the headquarters or the town centers. And, you know, our dad took us cross country in 72 or 3. I can never remember exactly what year. And
73.
73.
Dan graduated 74 and started school, and then you were 76.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember Dad being a little frustrated that pretty much every time we got in the car, I would fall asleep or I would be bored. And I remember thinking, I remember the desert was like super hot and dry, and you know, it just didn't mean much to me. So going through and seeing the beginnings of housing and how people lived and how we have grown and how we use what's available to us. So if people lived in cliff dwellings, it was because that was their option, right? And we had an episode, our last episode, which I think you told me is 29.
29!
Which was about doors, and the doors that, you know, were in our homes or around the world. Well, they didn't necessarily have a door. They had to walk into a cave or the cliff.
Or a piece of fabric maybe that might have been hung up before they fabricated something out of wood.
Right, right. So that whole drive is just way more fascinating to me, and to the point where it can be dangerous. I remember Dad used to gawk and we would be like, pay attention to the road. And now I can be that person. I can be like, oh, don't be so busy looking to the side that you're not paying attention.
I think I even used Dad's answer when I hear that when someone's in the passenger seat next to me, and it's like, look, I do hundreds of miles every week, coming and going and returning home safely. So
I know.
I got this. All right. Yeah. So you went through there and then ended up in Denver. And Denver was a quick trip, right? Quick stop.
Denver. Yep. Spent the night with Caleb, picked up Adam. Adam and I started across country to Ohio, and he had worked. So we left in the evening and drove and got to our brother Dan's house at like 2 a.m, which, you know what? Less traffic. You're not heading into the sunrise. It was all good. Adam and I can always talk for hours. Didn't see a lot because it was night.
It was dark.
It was dark, yeah. A couple of truck stops, you know, and Dan and Eleanor weren't even home. So they were in New York at Dan's convention. So we stayed at their home, and Dan, Adam, I can never remember which kid or brother I'm with. Adam had never been there. So that was fun. And then came across, and for the first time ever, spent the night in Indianapolis. I had never spent the night. It's so close, right? It's so close to where we grew up that I didn't go there overnight.
Right, because we always drove through Indiana. We never stayed in Indiana.
Yeah. And again, here we are. We're at this hotel that's recommended to me. It's a pretty pricey hotel. It's called Ironworks. But again, the person now that looks at the way everything is built, every single thing, right? Oh, look how they did what this made, because it was an iron city. Was it done purposefully to look new, but it's old, or is it old to look new? You know, just...
Yeah, our perspective and the way we look at things has absolutely changed. There's things that I notice that have been there for the 31 years I've lived in San Antonio now that I've recently seen again and looked at it from a different viewpoint perspective. And why is it that way? How long has it been there? It's pretty interesting how putting this together has started to influence what we see and how we do, even though we present this going, hey, we're talking about how where we came from influenced what we do, and now that's influencing our conversation. So I don't know, is that coming 360? Is that the way you would refer to that? It's all...
And also, I think, you know, we've joked in the past about when Dan moved out of the room that you guys all shared together when we were in our Main Street house, and he moved into the dormer, right? And now I'm in a hotel where the shower is as big as Dan's bedroom was. You know? Like, because some of them call them car wash showers, where you can walk through one side and out the other side. So it's fascinating. And then we woke up and we got to Ohio at a reasonable time, and we stayed.
You got to where?
O-H-I-O. Yeah. Thank God.
Because that's the only way we could spell it.
Otherwise,
we've been gone so long. The only way we can remember to spell it is if we were sitting in the stadium.
Yeah, there you go. Good point, brother. And And we stayed with Ernst and Carolyn at their home. And again, it's a hacienda style home in Fremont, Ohio. Not common and compared to what is normal back there. So that was fun, and then started the adventure in Lindsey.
Okay, so since you went to hacienda yet again, I'm just going to tell you that no. We will definitely be discussing future episode, not the next two, but maybe episode 33, where we're going to try to clarify what's a hacienda, what's Santa Fe, what's adobe, or what, and here Spanish colonial, and get that all sorted, because we're using those words kind of interchangeably. And if you don't and haven't seen it, then you're kind of going, what is that? And what makes you say this one's a hacienda, but that one may be Santa Fe? Or is it the same thing?
I'll get some pictures from my friend Jose, because he is building a hacienda style home in Mexico. And he just showed me pictures the other day, and he's got arched ceilings. It's really cool.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
All
anyway.
right. So you made it back to
Lindsey.
Ohio. You made it back to Fremont and then out to Lindsey, right? Because Ernst and Carolyn don't live in, they live in.
Yeah, that's actually true. And the way that we came off the turnpike through Elmore and stopped at the antique store there that's owned by a friend, from elementary school. Came through town. I stopped and dropped off some of the prints that I had made with like Kate and Daryl Nip and people, so that I had fewer to distribute at the event, because I had painted a painting, folks, of our hometown and was selling some of the prints to people. So, yep. Then we came back to Lindsey and
you saw what's behind you.
Yeah, we saw what's behind me. Welcome, the sunflower. And what's really cool is I'm going to lean to the side. That was the train track back when we were kids. So that's
when we were growing up, that was the trains.
That's the bike trail now that has some name that I should remember, which I don't, that goes all across a good portion of Northwest Ohio.
Yeah. So if you want to do day-long bike adventure, does it go all the way up to Toledo?
It goes to, I think, to not Maumee, the lake. Oh my God, Oregon, maybe? I don't know. And we have to look it up, because clearly I've only ever done.
Well, that all came to be after we all left. So it's understandable that we may not know all of those details.
Thank you, Eric, for giving that to me. For me not knowing. Yeah. So we didn't go out till about noon. It started at about, I think there was the 5K at 9 a.m. And I had just decided that there was no way I could be somewhere from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m.
Even with the espresso cart?
Even with it was just going to be too much. So we, yeah, I know. So we got there about noon or 1 and immediately went over to the old school where my friend Bonnie was giving tours of the school.
Okay. And we've talked in past episode about the elementary school, whether we called that Lindsey
or Washington
or Washington Elementary. That is not what she's talking about. The Fremont City School District made the determination to tear that building down, demolish it, because it was getting to a point where it was not cost effective to continue to try to maintain something that had the originally installed boiler heaters based on the population. She's talking about what was the predecessor to that school, which was a big 2-story brick school that from the big house that we talk about on Lynn Street was a couple of blocks away.
Right. Bonnie's got the downstairs pretty well done. And then the upstairs, it's funny, like going into a lot of places where you can, there's a cord going across. You can look, but you don't enter the upstairs room yet. It's not ready.
I have to ask the question. Did she do anything? Did they try to repair the wall down below that had been turned into like a drive-in roll-up door on the first floor?
They have big doors there. Yeah, it's not a roll-up anymore. I think they have school doors, maybe.
Oh, okay. So they did do something in there. I remember, and that was one of those that I'll say even years ago, when the previous owner made a decision to put that in and be able to drive a vehicle right into that lower level, I was not appreciative of that.
No,
and
I know.
I'm going, what a terrible thing to do to that old building. But if they've been somehow able to modify it to bring it back a little bit to where it was at, that's cool. That's cool.
Maybe sometime we should get Bonnie on here to talk about what she's done and what's been easy and what's been hard in the redo of that.
And renovations and restoration and where those lines intersect.
Yeah. Yeah. So we did that. And, I think, Eric, you found out that kind of at a last minute, our brother Ken and his wife wound up coming up.
Yeah, we didn't know until we saw pictures going, did Ken go to, it's like, I know that he was going to. And then sure enough, I looked at the pictures going, yep.
And our cousin Amy came and her daughter came from Eastern Ohio, and my cousin Doug came and his new wife. So it was super great from that perspective for me, not to mention seeing, for me, it's all about the people, right? The food matters, the games matter, the camaraderie matters. But for me, it's the seeing the people that I was so close to, because to be fair, I lived there much longer than any of my brothers. So one of my favorite pictures is 5 or 6, Adam and 4 or 5 other kids with their 4th grade teacher, with Mrs. Randolph, who's about a foot shorter than all of them, maybe a foot and a half.
Which Mrs. Randolph? Was that Peggy?
Peggy, Phil's wife, Peggy. Yeah. Yeah. And she made a point of getting a picture with the kids. And the people that came, first of all, it turned into a beautiful day. It was.
Yeah, you can see that pictures behind you, and the pictures that I saw posted, I had no idea. I don't know if it's because of the sun's flower and what they did, but the town deciding to embrace that from a theme and painting the windows on the buildings and flower pots. And clearly people were planning this ahead of time because they had some planted in their front yards.
Yep.
And just so that they had sunflowers that were blooming at this point in time.
And I don't know if there was a competition in town, but the Voorhees home, Diane still lives there. And there was a ramp to the house, maybe for when Kathy, she was helping. I don't remember or know the reason, but she had like the sunflowers behind me in the picture all the way up the ramp. And other people painted great big paint pictures in their windows. It was really, really sweet. And, Andrea, in our episode in 26, where we were interviewing the people putting this together, they talked about wanting to have the camaraderie, wanting to bring back the town, that after the school was torn down and we didn't have that festival, and then COVID, just to remind people,
hey, we're still here and we're still a community.
Yeah, I get all weepy about this. I get weepy about so many things, don't I? But it was a great place to grow up.
And Andrea had pointed out, they had a theme. It's like proud of our past, excited about our future.
Yes.
And we talked, and we know that they didn't have any way, because there were so many things going on in so many different places to be. There were basically the city park, the school, Creek Bend Farm was taking people in later in the day because of the rains the night before. I understand the Sunflower did not open until later in the afternoon, but they were going everywhere. And I can tell you from the pictures that I've seen, I have to say several thousand people.
That would be
a town that officially, I think in the 2020 census was only 450 people. You're talking about quadrupling to quintupling the population with people who came to participate and join in, whether that was the farmers market, whether that was the singing, and whatever it was, the marketing and everything, it just all came together and looked like it was so successful.
And some were like, I got to see several people from a class 2 or 3 years ahead of us who I'm friends with on Facebook, but I haven't seen since 1976, right? And then people that just came from other towns. Someone that I worked with at the Andersons came with a friend of his, because he grew up in a farm town, and I had messaged him. And someone else from my elementary school class, one of the Overmeyers, came from Georgia. We had asked in our prior interview, what are you going to do if it rains? Well, let me just tell you, there was bingo, and there was the history in the firehouse. And
the cakewalk.
There was a cakewalk in there. You see all the tents. Even when Adam played music, so I'm going to throw it out there that Adam played music, and he didn't stay on the stage where the first band had been. He came down to the ground, and people were just standing around and sitting in the shelter house. And so it was a little like a bar, but not a bar, right? People coming and going. And I tried to see certain people. I was passing out these prints, and to say how many people were there, I missed people that we thought we were like, oh, I'm on the trail. I'm right here by this. And we still didn't find each other. That
Right. And you had said too that, or I guess it was Andrea's message, because Andrea, who was in episode 26 and really kind of the brainchild behind this, going, we got to have something.
Yep.
And spurred people into action, and Daryl and Russ and her husband Ryan and all got involved. But Andrea was saying that Bonnie, just like you, that old original schoolhouse, say early 20th century, late 19th century, early 20th century.
Yeah.
She started counting when they opened the doors at 10:30, and by 1 o'clock she lost count because it was somewhere over 500 people by that point.
Right. That had come
to tour an old schoolhouse that's being turned into a house. Not even, it was like walking through an HGTV or DIY show, right?
Absolutely. And then I mentioned to you that by the time we were ready to eat, the Greek food truck totally sold out. Totally
before noon, you said, right?
It was early. Well, no, it's probably like 1:30. I thought about that because I went to the schoolhouse first and picked up the antique that I was bringing back. And so they closed up, and I thought, man, this is going to go till 9 p.m. Well, let me tell you, they were back. They were back with more food, serving again for supper. And Roots
Poultry. So if you're in and around Northwest Ohio, Fremont, Lindsey, Elmore, Hessville, Gibsonburg, whatever, you know what Roots Poultry is. And for Roots Poultry, one of their big things was always their pulled chicken that was just ready to go. The number of times it would be served on those little potato rolls, as little sandwiches and things like that. They apparently were there, and if I Andrea said they had to go and out to the facility and restock 6 times. I don't know what that means from a volume standpoint, but the chicken has always been really, really good. And that means a lot of people were getting chicken sandwiches if they were running out to get more buns and more chicken.
Yep. And then the other thing that I think is super important to mention for this is that this was not a fundraiser for the town. All these different organizations worked to make money. So the Runners Club donated a portion of their profits back to the town so that it could move forward. They said that the Wreaths Across America, which are the wreaths for the graves at the cemetery.
For veterans, right? Is that for veterans wreaths?
Yep. They had a raffle. They sold 500 tickets, profited about $1,000. The Lindsey Lions made money on their cakewalk. The youth group for the church made $300 or $400 for their mission, and that was for a dunk tank. The 4-H club made money. So everybody profited. And how great is that? Including me, who got to pay for my gas with the prints I sold.
Gas before the flight out of Cleveland. And it was exciting that we did find out just before this that they've locked in a date, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know whether we should advertise that or they should advertise that.
Okay. More information coming soon.
And
based on the success and what I saw, and I already made the commitment to Andrea, Ryan, Daryl, and Russ that if this happens again, we'll be there. And of course, now I'm saying that
our family reunion,
reschedule our family reunion, which has gotten to the point of trying to coordinate around all the kids' activities. Now that we've got kids that are high school teams and junior high and middle and everything else, we need to be there next summer. And of course, there's very, very few places to stay in Lindsey. So we're staying someplace else.
Yeah, that's why Ken and Elizabeth drove up from, I think, Columbus. They stayed at Amy's.
They stayed at Amy's.
So I can't stay at Hillenbrand's forever. And we all can't stay at Hillenbrand's, clearly. So there would be some coordinating. Maybe we go back and stay at Sauter's like we did, a number.
Yeah, that's a decent drive at Sauter's or someplace in Fremont. We normally stay someplace else, but
it was way too expensive.
Because you said how expensive it was.
They're so close to the lake, and that's their season,
Okay, well, we're going to start bringing this one to an end, and just so you know what's coming up.
Wait. You're going to talk about going to the house we grew up in, or is that what you're doing now?
No, go ahead, finish that. Do that.
Yeah. So I wanted you all to know we talked so much about the brick Victorian on Lynn Street that we grew up in, and there is someone living there, appears to be grandparents raising grandkids. And I stopped purposefully with one of my prints to show them the house. And they took a picture of Adam and I on the porch swing, which I think is the porch swing that was there when mom and dad lived there. To be
I
fair,
don't know. It looked too small to me.
well, I was afraid it was going to break with both of us on it, just so you know, but they were very kind. The house still needs boatloads of work. I think they're working on it. It's a little hard to go and see, but it's a little better than it was before. And they seemed, especially the teenage grandkids who were like 14 and 15, seemed grateful to talk to us. And I think, Eric, I think a couple of them are sleeping in the attic.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And that means not insulated, or we need our own space, or however that's working. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, the other thing that I was going to lead into before Donna pulled that one up was next episode, looking ahead from Ohio, Donna jumped on a plane and headed overseas. So that reticular activator was working in Germany at Luxembourg. So we're going to talk about that on our next episode. And that's it. Anything else? Any final thoughts?
I think we talked through most of it, and I'm excited always to talk about what I saw in Europe and what I think.
Yeah, I know. And apparently people are excited to listen. It's one of our best episodes. And I think maybe that one, you need to not sleep again. So you sound as slightly, I don't know, deeper as you were last time, going, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you all for listening, investing your time, and taking it out of your day, out of your week, however you choose to listen to this. You know, I said at the beginning, this was going to be a lot of lifestyle. We reminisce, and clearly from the tone of our voice and the looks on our faces, for those of you watching video, know how much this small town means to us. It wasn't the house, it was the lifestyle, and it is the blend of the two that impacted our careers so much in real estate. Today, as we wrap this one up, remember, we're both professional real estate agents. We both work with Keller Williams, Donna with Keller Williams Southern Arizona, myself with Keller Williams Heritage here in San Antonio, Texas. And we would be happy to help you find a perfect property to call home, create lasting memories, and build your wonderful life. If you're listening around the globe, somewhere around the country, we can connect you with another professional agent who can assist you. Let us help you in that search, and not just go in blindly going, the first person who picks up the phone is who I'm going to do business with. So with that said, just remember, it may be simple, it ain't always easy. And until next time, I'm Eric.
And I'm Donna.
And we are Real
Siblings. Are we getting better at that?
That time was pretty good. Thanks, y'all.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, I'm Annabelle, and I want to thank you for investing your valuable time in listening to Real Sibling. It Ain't Easy. I hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support this podcast with my Grandpa Eric and Aunt Grandma. Please take the time to like, follow, and subscribe. Additionally, leave them a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing I would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to their ongoing success, and they look forward to connecting. Check out the show notes Grandpa put together with their contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and website. And remember, the Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.